been postponed by the fact that the ratification has taken a bit more time than we hoped. So the military integration goes on, regardless of, in a way, the fact that Hungary and Turkey has not ratified, because part of being invitee means that you can be integrated into NATO's military structures, including interim capability targets. So the military planning, the integration process is something which is moving on, not delayed by the ratification process. Second is that for me this is a top priority, meaning that I spent, I did what I could together with President Sauli Niinistö, with at that time Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson, and with the new government in Sweden, we have continued to work together closer to ensure the agreement, the invitation, and now the integration into NATO's civilian and military structures, and then the ratification. So far, 28 has ratified. I went to Ankara, I think it's now 3-4 weeks ago. We had a good meeting with President Erdogan. That was the meeting where he made it clear that he is ready to, or Turkey is ready to ratify Finland. And I welcome that we now see progress on the ratification of Finland, and hopefully that will happen very soon. Then on Sweden, President Erdogan in the meeting agreed to restart the process. And also in the meetings of what we call the permanent mechanism, where Finland, Sweden, Turkey meet, and they met under my auspices here at the NATO headquarters a few days ago. And that also then led to the formal announcement of the decision to move on with the ratification of Finland. But of course, in that meeting, we also then are able to address how to make progress on the ratification of Sweden. And we will continue to meet. I spoke again with President Erdogan on Friday, and we again agreed to continue the consultations and the meetings to ensure that we can also make progress on the ratification of Sweden. Then I spoke this morning with the Foreign Minister of Hungary, Petr Szijjártó, and he also confirmed that there will be a vote on the 27th of March in the Hungarian Parliament on the ratification of Finland, and we will continue then to work on making progress on the ratification of Sweden.
Interfax Ukraine, lady with the red scarf.
You have a microphone there.
Thank you, Anna. News agency, Ukrainian news agency, Interfax Ukraine, Irina Sommer. Follow up on NATO-Ukraine Commission. Secretary General, is it mean that we can see from now on that such kind of meeting will take place regularly, on the regular basis, and even that participation of the Ukrainian President, Mr. Zelensky, in Vilnius also will take place in this format, NATO-Ukraine Commission? And second question is, don't you think that time came to denounce NATO-Russia-Rome agreement, which established also NATO-Russia Council? Thank you.
NATO allies worked for a meaningful dialogue with Russia for many, many years. Russia has walked away from that dialogue, so that's not functioning. It is not possible to have a meaningful dialogue with Russia when they are conducting a legal war of aggression against Ukraine. But we used the NATO-Russia Council up till the invasion. We have to remember that we actually met in this building in January, just a few weeks before the invasion, to try to convince and to try to use all diplomatic and political channels to prevent President Putin, Russia, from implementing to follow through on their plans to invade Ukraine. So the NATO-Russia Council was an important instrument in our efforts to try to establish some kind of meaningful dialogue with Russia. We used it to try to prevent the invasion of Ukraine, but since the invasion, this has no meaning. We cannot have any meaningful dialogue with a country that is responsible for an illegal war of aggression against the neighbor Ukraine. So we don't have meetings, of course, in this council now. Then when it comes to the NATO-Ukraine Council, this is an established framework. I have the mandate to convene it. I have, in respect for the issues that Hungary has raised, I have not convened that for some time, but now I will continue to convene the meetings of the NATO-Ukraine Council, the Commission, sorry, and I will start with a meeting at the foreign ministerial meeting. I have not planned any more meetings, but of course this will not be one-off event. We will continue to have meetings. When it comes to the summit, we have not decided finally on the formats, but I have made it clear that I will invite President Zelensky to the summit. Exactly in what format we will meet, that has not yet been decided.
Bloomberg.
Natalia Drozdiak from Bloomberg. I just want to follow up on the question about Sweden's ratification. Do you still expect Sweden to be ratified by both Turkey and Hungary by Vilnius? And then secondly, on the question about MiG fighter jets, Poland and Slovakia pledged, what impact do you expect this to have on the battlefield? And have any allies expressed concern about these deliveries, especially with regards to escalation? Thank you.
Well, on Finland, based on what has been announced both from Hungary and Turkey, the two allies that have not yet ratified the Finnish accession protocol, I expect that they can become members before the Turkish election, because Hungary has made it clear that they will vote on this in the Hungarian Parliament on the 27th of March. So that's I base what I say on what they have publicly said and also told me, and also Turkey has made it clear that the plan is to ratify before the Turkish Parliament goes into recess ahead of the Turkish election. Of course, I cannot guarantee on behalf of national parliaments. At the end of the day, it's national parliaments that make the decisions. And I've been a parliamentarian and also prime minister myself. I'm always very careful not speaking on behalf of parliaments. Parliaments are sovereign bodies. They make their own decisions, but at least that's what has been announced. And based on those plans and those announcements, Finland will be a member very soon and before the Turkish elections or before the Turkish parliament goes into recess, based on what they have said. Then on Sweden, I will not give you any exact dates, but I will just tell you that this is a top priority, and I will work hard to ensure that also Sweden becomes a full member and that the ratification process can be finalized as soon as possible. That's the reason why I traveled to Ankara. That's the reason why I also spent some time in Stockholm, in Helsinki, and also convened the trilateral permanent mechanism here at NATO, and will continue to engage with all these countries to ensure that we have the quickest possible ratification also of Sweden.
Answer. Gentleman with glasses. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, sorry. Secretary General, in the Mediterranean, migration is reaching a level unseen since the 2015 crisis. Italy has recently linked this phenomenon with an intentional rational destabilization strategy. And as you know, the strategic concept states a 360 degrees approach to security and see the Med as a critical theater. Now, the question is, do you accept that the southern border can be at risk because of migration used as a hybrid weapon? And is NATO ready to do more in that area? And secondly, if I may, would you be available for a second mandate? I mean, for a prolongation again of your mandate, maybe?
First, on the south. Well, NATO has significant presence in the Mediterranean and in the south to address instability, to fight terrorism, and we also support efforts of the European Union to deal with illegal migration. We, for instance, have a naval presence in the Aegean Sea to help to implement the agreement between Turkey and the European Union on illegal migration. We have been there since for several years. We're also working with partners like Mauritania, like Tunisia and others, to help them build their defense and security institutions to stabilize their own countries. That's to address the root causes of the migration challenge. So we are working in many different ways, and of course we also see that we see increased Russian presence in in the south or in Africa, not least with the Wagner group. So I think that it just highlights that NATO doesn't have the luxury of choosing either to either focus on one or the other challenge or threat we face. We need to be able to deal with all of them at the same time. Of course, they are in different nature and different intensity, but NATO has to deal with them at the same time. Also, a lot of what we do on critical infrastructure is also related to the south. There are cables, there are undersea infrastructure also in the Mediterranean. But of course, NATO is a military alliance. We have our tools. Then the European Union, national nations have other tools. So we don't have all the tools to address all the issues related to migration, but we support the efforts of the European Union and individual allies in different ways, and will continue to do so, and also step up our work with partners, for instance, or in Africa, and also in Iraq. I met with the Iraqi foreign minister yesterday, and we have a presence there of a training mission to help Iraq to stabilize their own country, and that's also a way to address the root causes of the illegal migration.
Imedi, Georgia.
Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary General, two questions about Georgia. First, as we are waiting for Vilnius summit this summer, and for more support from NATO, what can you tell us more about it and overall evaluation of 2022? And also, can you comment on recent developments in Georgia? I mean, presentation in Georgian Parliament, foreign agent draft, and in 2 days it was voted down. So can you comment on this? Thank you very much.
So I welcome the decision by the Georgian Parliament to vote down or to withdraw the draft law on foreign influence or foreign agents, because it's incompatible with Euro-Atlantic values and the protection of fundamental freedoms. So I welcome that this proposal was withdrawn and then not supported by the Parliament in Tbilisi. I encourage Georgia's political leaders to work together on reforms urgently needed, and of course NATO has also worked with the government of Georgia to implement these reforms, to strengthen democratic institutions, to strengthen democratic control over the security services, and also to fight corruption. The Georgian people have made it very clear that they want a democratic, prosperous Georgia that is integrated into the Euro-Atlantic region, and NATO will continue to be a partner to those aspirations.
Okay, we'll go to Icelandic National TV.
Björn Malmquist from Icelandic National Television. You've talked a lot about Ukraine. Understandably, the focus of the alliance has been there in recent months. Are you keeping focus on Russia's activities in the high north? And how will the the eventual membership of Sweden and Finland change the dynamic on the northern flank of the alliance?
The Finnish and Swedish membership will strengthen NATO in many different ways. First of all, it will strengthen the whole of NATO, and because Finland and Sweden have capable armed forces, well-trained, well-equipped, modern armed forces, and we have worked together with Finland and Sweden for many years. They have naval, land, and air forces which are highly capable and will help us also to increase our presence, our awareness, also in the high north. And of course both Finland and Sweden are Arctic nations. They know how to operate under Arctic conditions, and it will also not least increase our ability to to utilize the airspace in the High North and to operate across the borders in the Nordic region. So yes, that is important for the High North, for whole NATO, but of course also, for instance, for the Baltic countries. If you just look at the map, you will see that reinforcement, the protection of the Baltic region, will be very different, and NATO will be in a much better place to do that with Finland and Sweden in. And therefore I welcome the fact that all allies have invited them, that Finland will very soon be ratified based on what has been announced from Ankara and from Budapest, and then I will continue to work hard for the quickest possible ratification of also Sweden. Then the High North has mattered for NATO for many years, and therefore we have a significant presence there. We have several allies which are Arctic nations, including Iceland. We have presence in Iceland with NATO planes. Iceland is important also when it comes to monitoring, following the Russian military movements up in the High North, their submarines, their ships, their planes. And allies are also now investing in new modern capabilities, including advanced fifth-generation fighter aircraft that will significantly increase our capabilities when it comes to monitoring and surveillance over what's going on in the High North. More ships, we have more exercises, and last week I went together with President Ursula von der Leyen and the Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre to one of the gas facilities, the gas platform Troll platform in the North Sea, which is important for Norway, for the Nordic region, but of course also for energy supplies to Europe. 10% of Europe's gas supplies comes from that one platform. So of course when NATO also is stepping up what to do to protect critical infrastructure, that is also very much about the High North. Yes, High North has been, will continue to be of great importance for NATO. Let me also add that climate change will make the High North even more important. The ice is melting. It's possible to operate there more throughout the year, and that will also increase the strategic importance of the High North.
Thank you very much. I know there are more questions, but this is all we have time for now. However, you can pick up a hard copy of the annual report on your way out, and hope to see as many of you as possible at the annual media reception. Thank you.
Okay.